Happening now, why one local senator says Governor Cuomo's comments about how Western New York is handling its COVID-19 outbreaks is incredibly insulting. Plus, Cattaraugus County health leaders are voicing concerns about increasing COVID-19 numbers there.
Well, the sun is back out and temperatures are going to be on a little bit of a climb through the next couple of days, but we are watching the weekend for another storm system. I'll tell you about it all in detail next. The News at Noon starts right now.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
And thanks for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. New York State Senator George Borrello says Governor Andrew Cuomo's comments that the region hasn't lived the full pain of COVID-19's wrath is incredibly insulting. Cuomo, speaking during a press conference briefing yesterday afternoon in Albany, says the reason Western New York is experiencing an increase in COVID-19 activity is because residents do not fear the virus like those living in New York City do.
Western New York read about New York City, they read about Long Island, they watched it on the TV news, but the numbers were never as bad in Western New York. And you want people to change dramatically their behavior. For me to make these dramatic changes in behavior, I have to believe this is real. And it wasn't real. Because it wasn't real to me. You know when it becomes real? When it's real to me. I get it was real in New York City, but I'm in Buffalo. Buffalo is much different than New York City. And it wasn't real to me.
We have lost lives here, but also we felt the economic pain of this COVID crisis. We watched as we've seen spikes in suicides, in drug overdoses, and domestic violence. For him to say that we haven't felt the pain is truly not only is it insulting, it's short-sighted and it's just wrong.
Now, Borrello believes people should have a healthy respect for the virus, but not fear it. He says Cuomo's tactics of encouraging fear is a way to keep people in line, in a sign of his failing leadership during the pandemic. Borrello says he continues to urge aides to the governor to continue to target the virus in smaller zones so that the regional economy can stay open. He says another shutdown far outweighs the risk of COVID-19's health impacts. Meanwhile, the COVID-19 infection rate in Cattaraugus County is making an upward trend, something that the county's health director is concerned with. In a public update last night, the county reported 42 new cases with 207 active. The county's 7-day average positivity rate is now 4.2%, up from 2.9% the day before. Health Director Dr. Kevin Watkins says that if his county's infection rate continues to increase, the county could qualify for New York State's micro-cluster containment efforts.
So we are concerned that we might have to fall under that yellow zone if this continues. Yellow zone simply means that we will definitely have to change some of the activities that we currently have in the county, and we'll have to tap down on those activities.
Now, specifically, zip codes with 7-day rolling average positivity rates above 3.5% for 10 consecutive days, and they have 10 or more new COVID cases per 100,000 residents every day, are flagged under that yellow zone precautionary. Watkins says in the yellow zone, schools would have to do weekly COVID-19 testing, houses of worship capacity would be capped at 50%, and mass gatherings would be limited to 25 people. Businesses do remain open with limited dining to 4 people per table. Watkins attributes the increase in COVID-19 cases to St. Bonaventure University and general community spread in the county. He's asking everyone in the Cattaraugus County community to continue to wear their mask, practice social distancing, clean surfaces regularly, and wash their hands. Well, as we're learning more about COVID-19, some health experts say there's more evidence that a herd immunity approach to the virus won't work. Mandy Gaither explains.
When a person gets COVID-19, it's likely they'll also get some degree of immunity after recovering, but researchers still don't know for how long.
Yes, reinfection can and does occur with COVID-19, though it appears to be a rare occurrence so far.
Of the many millions of COVID-19 cases around the world, only a handful of documented cases show reinfection, but it's still a concern, says emergency physician Dr. Leanna Nguyen.
The virus that causes COVID-19 is a coronavirus, and coronaviruses cause illnesses like the common cold that are known to reinfect people year after year.
So far, research has shown that any immunity gained after COVID recovery will most likely last for months, not years.
We also don't know how complete the protection is, and whether, if you're exposed, you may not get sick, but could still transmit the virus to others.
That's one reason Dr. Nguyen says the herd immunity approach to COVID-19 doesn't work. If we let the virus infect most of the population, it's estimated that millions of people could die without any guarantee that those who survive will be protected for longer than a matter of months.
That's why prevention is so critical. It's really important that we do everything we can to protect from getting coronavirus.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Mandy, thank you. Since coronavirus vaccines are still being developed, we don't know what reinfection means for the vaccine, but it's likely that a single dose vaccine won't be enough and that we might need a booster shot like we have with tetanus or even annual shots like the flu. Well, as COVID-19 cases rise here in Western New York, several grocery stores are preparing for an influx of shoppers, which they've already been seeing over the last few hours. Last spring, people rushed stores to fill up on food and cleaning supplies, creating a supply and demand issue nationwide. Both local Wegmans and Tops grocers announced this week new limits on how much of certain items customers can purchase. Well, now the two chains say they've been busy replenishing their stock and improving their supply chain.
Items that we can't get from those name brands that you're accustomed to seeing on hand, we're able to work with the largest U.S. wholesaler to get some off-brand items to put on the shelf to make sure there's something for everyone.
That's Tops Friendly Market spokesperson Kathleen Sauter, who says her company has learned a lot from what happened in the spring, and they're trying to make sure they're not blindsided this time around. Well, we thank you for joining us here for WNY News Now as we continue to make putting facts over fear our priority in covering the COVID-19 pandemic and keeping you updated with the ever-changing news here locally. Let's check in with the comments and say hello to Nicole. Good to see Ann, Debbie, Ruth, Rosemary, Donna, and Terry as well. Good day to Sandy, June, Linda, Eric, and Joseph. Hopefully everyone is having a good Thursday out there. Let us know what you think about these stories and more in the comments down below. We always love hearing from you and interacting with you. Well, now let's switch gears a little bit and get a check of our First Defense weather forecast. Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter is standing by with a live look at that. And Dakota, Birdie tells me that things could be getting pretty windy this afternoon.
Yes, it will be. And, the good news is the winds are not going to be as strong as they were Sunday. So that is the good news. But it's still going to be rather windy out there. Live look from Salamanca. We still have a little bit of the snow that was left over that's fallen over the past couple of days. 50 already as a noon hour in Salamanca. What a difference a day makes. I mean, the sun is out. It's warmer. I mean, goodness gracious. It's a smorgasbord of weather around here. Satellite and radar shows you we have a few of these high clouds moving on in, but they're not going to produce any rain or snow. That is the good news. They're just fair clouds. They're friendly clouds. They're not going to produce any problems out there through the afternoon. 47 here in town. The temperature sensor at the Jamestown airport was fixed, so it has came back. 47 here in town. 51 Clymer, 57 in Fredonia, 59 in Erie and Dunkirk. The Lake Erie shoreline knocking on 60 degrees, 51 in Randolph, and 46 in Olean. Cooler spots are going to be the hills and the valleys today with that southerly wind that southerly wind often keeps the valleys and the hills a little bit cooler. So there's the temperature range, 52 to 61 through the day. Yes, sunshine is back, much warmer, and it becomes much windy. We do have a wind advisory that stays in place until 5 p.m. This afternoon. But to look at the winds, wind gusts possibly up to 45, 50 miles an hour. But we have another storm system we're keeping an eye on for the weekend. And how's the early looking for the early Thanksgiving travel? I'll tell you about it in detail next in a few. Justin?
All right, certainly going to want to hold on to our hat today, Dakota. Thank you. Well, Section 6 Athletics Council is now delaying the start of low and moderate risk winter sports. Winter sports deemed low and moderate risk will now start on December 14th. Originally, sports like bowling, boys swimming, indoor track, rifle, and alpine skiing were approved to start competing on November 30th. High-risk sports are still due to start on January 4th. Well, Pennsylvania is stepping up measures to slow the spread of coronavirus by requiring anyone who visits from another state to now test negative. The new actions are very similar to rules rolled out last month here in New York State. Pennsylvania's health secretary says anyone who visits from another state will be required to have a negative test 72 hours before entering. If someone does not or cannot get a test, they'll have to quarantine for 14 days. This also goes for people living in Pennsylvania who visit other states and then return home. Now, earlier this week, the state's governor announced new mitigation efforts to help stop the spread of the virus, including stricter rules when it comes to wearing masks. New York also requires out-of-state travelers to now show negative test results before they enter the state, or New Yorkers leave the state and then return home. Well, straight ahead here, a lot more to tell you about. What new measure is supporting first responders here in Jamestown? And later, what free service the Chautauqua County Humane Society will be offering this weekend. Stay with us as WNY News Now continues.
With coverage that matters. This is WNY News Now.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
But 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key. Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at oneball4tc.com.
Want weather now? Download the WNY News Now mobile app and stay up to date on severe weather alerts. Plus, anytime hazardous weather strikes, stick with the Southern Tier's only 24/7 streaming network that keeps you safe. You're all in a tornado warning, so now is the time to go to a safe place, small room, lowest floor, near the center, away from windows. What are you waiting for? Download the WNY News Now mobile app today. It's free in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
And welcome back to WNY News Now. Lawmakers in Chautauqua County approved an agreement last night giving the city of Jamestown's first responders some backup in times of high demand. Legislator Chuck Nazaro says the agreement allows the Chautauqua County EMS's fly car to respond to calls within the city of Jamestown if the Jamestown Fire Department or All-Star EMS are busy at other emergencies.
Also, this enables both the city and the county to bill for the services and recognize the revenue streams in their respective budgets. This agreement does mirror the agreement we currently have with the city of Dunkirk.
Legislator Lisa Vanstrom also spoke in support of the agreement. The legislature unanimously approved the contract during its monthly meeting, which was held via Zoom. Now, City of Jamestown council members are scheduled to vote on the agreement at its meeting on Monday, November 30th. Well, 742,000 Americans filed new claims for unemployment last week. The Labor Department released that data this morning. It's the first increase in unemployment in a month. We also now know that more than 320,000 workers filed claims under the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program that helps those who aren't usually eligible for unemployment benefits. Now, some economics professors worry that a growing number of people are exhausting their state's regular jobless benefits, which commonly lasts for 26 weeks. Well, despite the pandemic, Americans are still planning to spend hundreds of dollars on a Thanksgiving dinner. A new survey from LendingTree, they're an online loan marketplace, found that Americans will spend an average of $475. That's up from $310 last year. About 2,000 Americans answered the survey online. One reason people say Thanksgiving might be more expensive is because they're making up for the holidays they missed out earlier this year. Also different this year, more people are planning to host their own meal. That makes sense since families are having smaller gatherings because of COVID. Now, according to the survey, hosts are expecting about 9 people at the Thanksgiving table this year. That's down from 10 in 2019. Well, the Chautauqua County Humane Society is hosting a free rabies vaccination clinic this coming weekend. The drive-in clinic will be held from 9 to noon on Saturday at the Village of Falconer Highway Department on Colson Drive. Those wishing to have their pets vaccinated must pre-register at chqhumane.org. A form is posted online collecting the pet's owner's name, address, and pet information. Now, at the clinic, people are asked to wear their face coverings and stay in their vehicles with their pets. Additionally, pet owners must bring a previous vaccination record for each animal. All dogs must be on a leash, cats in their carriers. Animal handlers will come out and transport the animals from the vehicle to the veterinarian for vaccination. Certainly, that's a great service that's offered in the community. And as we partner with the Chautauqua County Humane Society, tomorrow we'll have our Pet of the Week segment. So looking forward to that if everyone can just stay tuned. Well, hopefully everyone is having a great Thursday out there. We thank you so much for joining us. Good to see Cindy, Susan, Brandy, Allison, Scott, and Tyler as well. Let us know what you're thinking about in the comments down below. Crystal, in regards to the local grocery store story that we ran about how they're trying to ramp up some supplies in wake of the positive number increase we've been seeing across Western New York. She says the Tops on Washington Street here in Jamestown is almost out of toilet paper and paper towels again. So certainly keep that in mind if you are going out. A lot of people try to maybe grocery shop Thursday, Friday, things like that. Good to see Tony and Shelley. Thanks so much for tuning in here on the broadcast. Let's now switch gears a little bit and get a full check of our First Defense weather forecast. As Mr. Hunter mentioned a little bit earlier in the show, the winds will be kicking up today, Dakota, but one big thing too is that temperatures are also heading in that upward direction.
Yes, I mean, it is much warmer today than it has been the past couple of days. And, this is something we told you about yesterday, that cold air. It's just that short hitting blast of cold air. Speaking about the temperatures, these are over the past 7 days, and the temperatures have sharply dropped. Look at the weekend. On Sunday, we were at 52 degrees, but of course, that 52 also came with those damaging wind gusts throughout the day. And look at where we were. Just, 37, 33, and 31 yesterday. We got the temperature sensor back to get the official high temperature yesterday. But something we've been dealing with over the past couple of days has been lake effect snow. So let's talk about this for a second. How exactly does lake effect snow form? Well, it starts with the warm lake water. Lake Erie's water temperature right now is at 51 degrees. But we don't look at the surface of the lake. We go up to about 5,000 feet. And we get this colder air coming on in that surges across the relatively warm water of Lake Erie. So we look at a 25 degree temperature difference difference from the surface of the lake to about 5,000 feet up into the atmosphere. Then what happens at that point is the cold air ultimately starts to rise with the warmer air. It starts to rise, and then we get these clouds that start to form over the lake, and then the wind ultimately pushes these clouds inland, and then it starts to drop snow. And that is ultimately how lake effect snow forms. It is basically just the mixture of the cold air and the warm air rising. Those clouds form and push them well inland, and as often is the case, the hills often get the most amount of snow when it comes to lake effect. So there's your little Peg the Geek Meter segment for today. 47 as a noon hour right now with a healthy south breeze of 17, and the wind gust is at 23 miles per hour, and you can see some of that sunshine peeking through from on top of the DoubleTree Hotel. So we do have this wind advisory that stays in place for Chautauqua County until 5 o'clock this afternoon, and wind gusts could be near 35, 40, maybe even 50 miles an hour. So the trash can-o-meter, where are you going to find your trash can? You're probably going to be looking for it through the afternoon today, and this is the wind range, 20 to 30 miles per hour with wind gusts up to 50. The strongest wind gusts will likely be near the Lake Erie shoreline and along the hills. That'll likely be the strongest wind gusts. We're probably thinking about 40 mile per hour, especially here in the city. So here's the weather setup. We have a high pressure ridge off the northeast coast to our east. That is actually gonna keep us mainly dry, but there's a storm system back to our west with a warm front attached to it. This is ultimately going to start to move our way towards the weekend, but there's going to be another cold front moving our way, and you'll see the 7-day in just a second, the big change we made over the weekend. So temperatures inland today, what a difference a day makes. Look at this, 55 here in town, maybe 54 at Cherry Creek, lots of sunshine for you, but it will be windy. Next 7 days of your life coming up, brought to you by 42 degrees and sunny, 52 tomorrow. We stay a little bit breezy though. Saturday, 45, but at least it should be sunny. Sunday, big change. We were expecting a warm front to move through. That should have spiked us in the 50s. Don't think it's going to make it in time, so we're going 44 with mixed precip. Monday is a bit of a question. Could it be rain, snow, or rain and snow? We don't know yet, 41. And temperatures go back down into the 30s for Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. And Tuesday looks like it might be the better day with some partial sunshine. We'll take a break, be right back.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
First Defense Weather is sponsored by 42 Degrees and Sunny, smokin' deals on smoking accessories. Learn more at 42degreesandsunny.com. That's 42degreesandsunny.com.
There's an old saying, there's no news in the newsroom. Well, it's true. The time I spend at the anchor desk is just part of my day. Most of our time is spent gathering stories in the community, stories that matter to you. We can't do it alone, and we need your help. When you see breaking news or have a news tip we should know about, drop us a line on Facebook today, email our news desk, or call our newsroom at 488-7226 so we can bring those stories straight back to you.
Slow down.
Slow down and move over.
Move over.
When you see signs,
Lights.
Vests.
please give us some room.
Slow down.
Slow down and move over. When you need help,
It's our job
To help you.
to save you.
despite the danger.
This danger is real. Do your part.
Please
Slow down. Slow down. And move over.
move over.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
And welcome back. If you were one of the people a little ticked off because the Peanuts gang would be only celebrating the holidays if you had Apple TV Plus, well, it's time to get your Charlie Brown dance on, because Apple and PBS have linked a deal to show the beloved holiday specials on broadcast TV. A Charlie Brown Thanksgiving will air on November 22nd, and you can watch A Charlie Brown Christmas on December 13th. They'll also be commercial free because they're on public broadcasting. Now, if you have Apple TV Plus, you'll have multiple chances to stream the movies and catch all of Snoopy's shenanigans. certainly super exciting, Dakota, that we're finally going to be able to have Charlie Brown if you don't have Apple TV Plus. Yeah, I'm excited. I have Apple TV Plus, actually, so I can watch it anyways. But I got it free when I bought my my Apple TV, and it's one of those things. This is like where they get you. When it automatically renews, and you're like, wow, I got another year. What are you going to do?
Because I bought mine when I bought my my iPhone 11, and I bought mine in March of this year. So my Apple TV Plus subscription set to expire in March of next year. So I don't know.
Put it in your calendar if you don't want it anymore. Just like remind me to cancel my Apple TV.
Yes.
Do you think Siri removes that notification?
Yeah, well, honestly, not a paid advertisement, but I mean, I have checked out Apple TV Plus, and there's a couple of good, miniseries that are on there. But I mean, I can understand why a lot of people were mad that it was only on Apple TV Plus, and it's actually kind of interesting because Apple recently bought AirPlay to the high-end Roku streaming boxes and all the Roku TVs. You can now AirPlay your phone or Mac to a high-end Roku box like the Roku Ultra or the all the Roku TVs. So that's interesting, but it's also interesting at the same time that they restricted Charlie Brown to only Apple TV Plus. I thought that was a little interesting, but
well, it's cool that they inked out a deal where they're going to be able to have that on PBS, because there are people who don't have access to that type of programming, and the thing with PBS is at least you can get that pretty much anywhere. You have a basic cable or even over the air, I imagine. I don't know if it reaches all the way down here from Buffalo.
Unfortunately, no. Due to all the TV stations now being digital, a digital signal doesn't go as far as the old analog signals do. So unfortunately, we can't really get over-the-air television down here because all the transmitters for the Buffalo stations are in the Boston Hills. They're in Colden on top of the Boston Hills because that's one of the highest elevations in the area. So that's where they stuck all their towers. And unfortunately, we just can't get over-the-air TV here.
But at least you could have streaming services like WNY News Now to give you awesome local content. So.
Unless you have one of those big outdoor, digital antennas that you stick on your roof, then maybe.
You might be able to get something. That's true.
But but it's like, all those antennas you see at Wally World that you stick in your window.
Yeah, those don't.
They don't work here, unfortunately.
So. Well, one thing that does work out pretty well most of the time is the weather in Western New York, and you do a heck of a good job forecasting it. And I know really, they're making your head up. Well, it's true. You're like what? The only weather forecaster in the southern tier, if you think about it, that focuses their knowledge here?
Well, I mean, that's something that we take pride in, especially, Andrew and I. That's something that we take pride in is the fact that we really localize our weather. Now, of course, we do talk about if there's a hurricane going on or something, we do try to briefly touch on it. But the one thing we try to do is we try to put a local spin on it. So for example, I know people who live in Alabama. I know people who live in Missouri, Florida, in all these places. So, I try to put, try to local spin on it.
You always want the local connection. That's why we always put local first.
Exactly. Speaking of local first, this is the local forecast for tonight. The only localized forecast in the southern tier. 40 to 48 tonight. Not quite as cold. That's the good news, but partly to mostly cloudy. The wind settles down a little bit, but it still will be breezy, and we're going to maintain breezy conditions through the day tomorrow. Justin.
All righty, Dakota, thank you. That's going to do it for us today. Great to see Erica, Frederick, Jennifer, Julie, and Joe on the show. Well, of course, we're back tomorrow with our TGIF edition. We hope to see you then. In the meantime, news continues 24/7 at WNYNewsNow.com and on our mobile app. We'll leave you with this live look over Chautauqua Lake. Have a great day.